NFTs have been in the news recently for better or for worse. However, many question why they even exist, and when I explained it to them, they're like, what? Why? So today in this video, I, Daft Pina, will do my best to give a comprehensive explanation of what an NFT is, and also showing one of the most egregiously bad ways certain animators try to get rich quick, making them. Believe me, you don't want to miss what the annoying orange and Yo Mama have been up to on Twitter, as they're now part of my comedy special. This is the Annoying Orange NFT Disaster. Also, maybe that's enough VFX for now. I mean, wouldn't you like if I just sat back down on my chair? As we reside back in my humble abode, I mean, can't you see how humble it is? We must start the talks of crypto by breaking down what an NFT means, as it's an abbreviation. NFT stands for non-fungible token, and fungible refers to something that can be replaced with something identical, while the opposite meaning one of a kind. For example, a Bitcoin is fungible as if you replace one with another, it's the same. But for an NFT, there really only is one of that NFT. You know, a unique thing that's never duplicated? While an NFT is often considered a JPEG, PNG, GIF, or anything else, it's actually a link that directly connects to the artwork, proving it's the authentic thing. And so the token aspect really refers to the code behind the NFT and not really the art, I guess. But how can one verify if it's unique or not? Well, the next thing I have to explain is cryptocurrency. And geez, that's an awfully dense topic. Luckily, I have the right drink for you. A nice shot of Fruit Loops flavored vodka. Now that we have that poured and I actually turned on the lights for my set, which I thought you'd remind me? I mean, it's clearly, like, off the whole time. But, moving on. A cryptocurrency is a digital currency, and while there are many of them, we'll focus on Ethereum for now. NFTs are created, bought, and sold most oftentimes on the Ethereum network, called a blockchain. And so basically, for an NFT to verify it's the unique thing, all the computers have to be updated constantly, proving that, hey, we all agree that this is the NFT you're looking for. So think of it as a digital ledger, making sure who owns what, how much, and correcting any heres and theres that needs to be. But while we're talking about Ethereum now, we will talk about Bitcoin a bit more later. I mean, it is the most popular cryptocurrency. But back to NFTs, the earliest use case technically started with CryptoKitties in 2017. And these digital cats ran on the Ethereum network. Sort of like an online Tamagotchi, people would grow, breed, and sell these cats. However, you only really own the code itself, as if the company sold the artwork, you'd just be left with a set of data. So in reality, or digitality, you own the idea of the cat, but not the imagery. For regular people, these cats don't do much, as they're often just bought and sold for high prices. So think of it as rich people exchanging money and cats being the thing they chose? What a way to invest. But I prefer real cats. This one's named Bear. Skipping ahead 2 years, NBA Top Shot made what is closer to what we considered an NFT. Officially licensed digital collectibles of your favorite basketball players doing things in MP4 form, oftenly sold at high prices. Here's the thing. In order to prove you own these sports moments, you have to go through the website, and only there is it really yours? I mean, if the website's down or the entire idea is sold to another company, well, I suppose your luxury collection of MP4s are just gone. So keep that in mind for later. It wasn't until 2021 when NFTs became mainstream, as this was all due to a high-priced auction. March 2021, using the auction site Christie's, digital artist Peoples sold his 5,000 art piece collection for $69 million as an NFT. Now while this was the digital purpose, People went out of his way to make a nice certificate and little frame to display the artwork, physically. This is noteworthy for a lot of reasons, as before October 2020, the most people sold for a print of artwork was only $100, as well as this being the first digital work sold at a major auction house. As before they were just used to physical works of art. And after seeing that big old number, the first thought you might have is,
wow, that's a lot of money. I could probably do that too.
However, the real first thought you should have is who bought it And why would they spend that much on a digital art piece? Well, it turns out the person behind the large purchase was an investor named Vignesh Chandrasen, who spends a lot of money investing in cryptocurrencies. He predicted that
there are going to be hundreds of thousands of people from around the world who are going to adopt this medium, a digitally native medium, to monetize art. There's going to be an economy around it.
And he was right, as the news reporting the funny 69 number attached with the word millions, many saw it as a modern-day gold rush that they can be a part of from their home. Well, modern-er, since Bitcoin was also a gold rush. And just like any gold rush, anyone can participate. Yet the practice of selling NFTs would be more comparable to selling fine art. Sure, anyone can try and sell their works, but you have to think in broader terms of what makes art sellable in a high-priced market. And to a further extent, what makes one piece of art worth more than another. Luckily, I have a lovely small list of what makes art worth money, or in this case, cryptocurrency. Starting off with something easy is number 1's the subject. What is it about? Sometimes people buy art for something specific. Maybe you want a nice Renaissance piece, or just a lot of blue. Like, a lot of blue. And so Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, as of 2019, is worth about $850 million, while Yves Klein's Arca Sponge is worth $21,400,500. And if you can't tell why those are the prices, how about we dive into number 2? Who was the artist behind the piece? Perhaps this isn't the Mona Lisa and rather a recreation, and sure, the value may be a lot lower, but still, who made the piece? Was it a lowly art student? Or perhaps famous actor Ryan Reynolds? While the quality might be the same, the star power increases the value. And although this is just blue, it's a Yves Klein blue. That I really don't know. Maybe I'll just have that shot you just rudely left on the table.
I think if you looked at a lot of fine art, you would probably say the same thing, or most people would say the same thing. They'd be like, who paid for this?
Number 3 is the history of the piece. Maybe the blue was uninteresting and you never heard the person who made it, but what if I told you this blue piece was once owned by a king and stolen from a museum? Well, that makes this blue a lot more interesting. Worth something even. I mean, that's how the Mona Lisa became popular. And if people are wanting to steal it or like stolen things, well hey, maybe I can sell some stolen paintings too. Hey, I got some hot off the canvas paintings. Do you like this striped painting? Maybe this starry sky one? Which one do you like more? Which one?
But what condition are they in?
The condition they're in. Why would you care about number 4? The quality. For as good as something might be, either for the subject, artist, or even history, if it's completely torn up, then yeah, it's gonna depreciate the value. But this is not to be confused with performative destruction, such as with the Banksy piece that was burned and sold for a lot more. So to sum up the section, the cost of fine art is more than the effort, as oftentimes it's just the idea behind it. And as for an internet example, what if I wanted to sell you this badly drawn piece of Sonic art? Oh, it's worth nothing, you say? Well, what if I told you the famous YouTuber Ellis Mark not only drew it, but was created to end a fight between him and another Sonic aficionado, Cybershell? Wow, how'd I get it? Well, they sold it to raise money for charity and not as a way to cheat at taxes. Now, no one would sell fine art to cheat at taxes. So, Mark, how much would you say this piece is worth?
I don't know, like $5.
Can you like increase the price a bit? I kind of owe people money.
Oh, $5. I mean, $100,000.
Perfect. But what does this have to do with NFTs? Well, like selling fine art, people buy and sell these digital pieces. However, if it was just that simple, well, we wouldn't be here today. NFTs are much like NBA Top Shot, as you have to go to a very specific place in order to prove you own it. Along with that, the prices of NFTs aren't really judged in reality, not really based on the quality of your effort. Sometimes the scarcity of NFTs are touted as a way to justify them existing, but we'll save that for later when we talk about the dumbness of the annoying oranges NFT. That's a weird sentence to say. So what we have so far is that NFTs are digital art pieces that are really only verified to be the real thing on the Ethereum blockchain. And much like fine art, the prices are subjective, and although many people can make them, not many are really sold from unknown artists. Well, there are some pros and cons to NFTs. However, the latter is much more impactful than ever expected. I mean, I thought this would be a good way for young artists to get money through another avenue, but boy was I wrong. But not wrong about this shot. Starting with some of the pros, NFTs have made it easier to support some artists. Animators Michael Cusack and Zach Hadel sold a bunch of NFTs in order to fund future cartoons and projects they wanted to make. However, these weren't just singular NFTs, as they sold sets of these between 50 to 100 of the GIFs. And with the high asking price of most NFTs, perhaps $1,000 for a GIF seems reasonable, I guess? Other than supporting artists, buying and selling NFTs for profit is also a thing you can do. I hope you like the pros because that was it. And be prepared because it gets awful and dumb from here on out. And as talked about before, the most known NFTs are created, bought, and sold in the Ethereum blockchain. And this network requires a lot of energy to be updated and maintained, constantly. On one account, an NFT sale on Ethereum could result in as much electricity usage as 8.7 megawatt hours, which is more than twice that the average British household consumes in a year. This is remembering that NFTs are never just sold once, and even if that weren't the case, the fact that it exists means it's forever taking up space and power within the digital ledger. With hundreds upon thousands of not only NFT but Ethereum transactions done per day, the concerns of the Earth heating up is big amongst people. The energy has to come from somewhere, and most of it is fossil fuels, or non-renewable resources. Many news articles and studies have been released keeping people up to date in order to investigate these negative effects. However, when it comes to artists wanting to sell NFTs, sometimes misinformation is spread, and those wanting to get into the hype let certain things slide. Animator Ivan Animated shared a thread on Twitter in which he claims shows a lot of NFT misconceptions. Best keep in mind that I'm not gonna bring him up or any subsequent people to want you to attack them. No, this is just a learning opportunity to see how research can go south fast. So don't attack him. So in order to do some investigation, how about we change up the lighting in my set? You like this? It's more dramatic, right? Right? Now that we're ready, let's dive into this thread to see some supposed NFT misconceptions. @BillyM2K focuses on the bullying of the artists and links a Medium article citing environmental impact as a misconception, stating that NFTs, quote,
NFTs simply piggyback off an already existing blockchain. There is barely any additional waste created by adding a new transaction. The power use happens regardless.
Bearing the lead in that statement, you start to see some red flags. Get it? Ethereum, much like any other cryptocurrency, uses a lot of power, so him stating that NFTs are a part of it just seems to be a way to confuse the reader. And him stating barely any additional wastes focuses on new transactions, remembering that NFTs are never bought or sold once and always stay in the network. He then proceeds to link an article from the website medium.com. Funny note about that is that, like, anyone can make an article there, so using it as a real news source, or the only news source, kinda sketchy. But not this Medium article. Nice. The article he shares, "No Crypto Artists Aren't Harming the Planet," is written by a company called Super Rare, and clicking on their website, yep, they sell NFTs. So big surprise they'd make an article promoting them, huh? In the article, they state that Ethereum itself is energy intensive, and they claim they're trying to use a more sustainable solution? You can't just say, yeah, we're hurting the environment, but we're really trying to not do that. They claim that Ethereum 2.0 will most likely reduce carbon emissions, but Ethereum 2.0 was set to release back in 2017, and they're now claiming that 2022 will be the year. It kind of feels like the future prospect in saving the Earth is always the future thing, and like, never a now thing. And they cap it off by saying, we at Super Rare are trying to combat carbon emissions by using carbon offsets, which is like giving someone a band-aid to treat a stab wound. I mean, carbon offsets really just means planting trees. Between you and me, do you know how long trees take to grow? A lot longer than an Ethereum transaction. I guess we're back at regular lighting, so what do we learn? Well, they said NFTs are bad for the environment, and they hope the future will be better. Brilliant stuff so far. The second tweet has Billy saying, quote,
It's a disingenuous and hypocritical argument. Living in a first world country means you engage in extraordinarily wasteful activities constantly.
which is basically saying,
Hey idiot, don't get mad at us. Don't you watch Netflix? Curious.
He then shows a chart comparing 3 categories: all digital tech, watching YouTube and gaming, and lastly Bitcoin mining. And at first glance you'd be like, by golly, I guess Bitcoin mining isn't that energy intensive. But wait a second. Are you telling me that he had to combine the entire world watching YouTube and the entire world playing video games to make it look like Bitcoin mining takes up less energy? This means that when Billy saw the data, he realized that he can't prove a point unless he flubs the numbers to make it look more meaningful. That's kinda sketchy. The third tweet says, quote,
NFTs are a nice and new way for artists to be compensated for work that is chronically stolen and misused on many platforms.
I mean, this could have been a point, except for the fact that NFT bots on Twitter are stealing people's art and minting them without permission, meaning that thanks to NFTs, it's actually another way for artists' work to get stolen. The last tweet in the thread says to quote,
I recommend that keyboard warriors just educate themselves and stop pushing hypocritical stances because deep down they don't want to see artists compensated for their work.
Well, thanks to actually researching, I did educate myself by showing every argument you have claiming that NFTs aren't bad for the environment, cryptocurrencies don't take up that much power, and lastly, it's actually helping artists, are all false. You might be asking why I'm harping on @BillyM2K. Well, he's the creator of Dogecoin, so like super rare, probably it's in his best interest to convince people that cryptocurrencies and NFTs are safe. Doing further research is good to have a comprehensive understanding of the issues, and as Ivan Animated would say, thanks for looking out for the environment, Daft. But besides the climate being affected by cryptocurrency, surely people drawing a lot of power would, I don't know, affect somebody? Well yes, as Business Insider details that 1,600 Bitcoin mining processors centers may have contributed to blackouts within the country of Iran. This means vets, hospitals, and even nursing homes may have been affected during these electrical shutdowns. In order to save money, people who invest in crypto farms often head to places with cheaper electricity such as Iran, which costs 4 cents per kilowatt hour, while in the US it's 13 cents. Wow, what a major difference. Since the blackouts, the Iranian government closed down the 1,600 crypto farms, finding over 45,000 Bitcoin machines, seizing it by the police. So when I say cryptocurrencies and NFTs are bad for the environment, it's really tied into the use of power, where it comes from, and these Bitcoin Ethereum farms. A standard Bitcoin/Ethereum farm is made up of a bunch of GPUs, CPUs, and power supplies, trying to calculate complex codes in order to, quote, mine Bitcoin. This process is called proof of concept, meaning people are able to get the coin because they have the power to solve these equations. And while there are some cases of people using their own power through wind and solar, cool. Most of the other people doing so use electricity from gas, coal, and other fossil fuels, as shown with the case of Iran. And while Bitcoin and Ethereum have been around a lot longer than NFTs, the more people use this as a way to make money, causes more power to be drained. Also, with cryptocurrencies being continuous drains of power, NFTs often soak up a lot within seconds. French artist Joanne Lemercier noted that the sale of 6 of their crypto pieces consumed in 10 seconds more electricity than the entire studio would in 2 years. And because of that power draw and environmental concerns, the website ArtStation actually shut down their NFT sales. Now imagine what happened to Joanne for hundreds of thousands of people, as remembering that NFTs are never just sold once, rather many times over. With the blockchain updated as frequently as it can be, the one NFT you made saying, well, it's only a one-time thing, well, constantly takes up power due to its inclusion in the blockchain. And for visual, the website Visual Capitalist states that if Bitcoin is a country, it'd be number 29 in power consumption. And BBC News showed that Bitcoin consumes more energy than Argentina. With the advent of NFTs and naive artists joining to make some cash, it's only a matter of time that the impacts start to reach closer to home, such as in my home state, Texas. February 2021 saw one of the worst winter storms ever in recent years. The electrical companies saw a lot of power being drained to heat homes, and since we have a different electrical system than the rest of the country, well, a lot of us would have had power for days. Of course, this is noting that Bitmain in 2019 built the largest Bitcoin mining farm in Texas, so surely they had nothing to do with the large draw of power during the time, or constantly. Mining Store even stating that
Some Bitcoin miners were able to capitalize on selling their unused energy back to the grid for a huge profit.
looking out for a little guy by selling grandma electricity to power a breathing machine. Really, helping us out, crypto hunters, huh? On the notes of making NFTs, you actually have to pay money to mint them. Minting means adding them to the blockchain and giving them code, and the prices depend on the service you want to use. Wait, so you're telling me in order for the chance to sell something, I have to pay like 100, 200 bucks to mint a JPEG? How many artists do you know that are willing to spend or have $200 at the chance of selling work? Not many. Although you'll see many success stories of people earning large sums of money, what you don't see are the many artists paying for an opportunity to sell that'll never come. And this is remembering that with every additional NFT, the value of Ethereum goes up as more people are invested. So it could be speculated that those with large sums of Ethereum would encourage small artists to make NFTs and never be sold, only for the fact that it makes them a lot more money. And as stated with previously, the prospect of NFTs can help an artist by giving them another way to make money, as the public understanding of how much an independent artist makes is not as well known. For the case of YouTubers, a lot of us have Patreon, sponsors, and even merch. This is because YouTube doesn't always pay the bills as much as we'd like them to, and the need for other avenues are raised even higher as an animation channel. In April of 2021, many short-form animators got paid less due to a glitch in the YouTube system, and many fear they won't be able to make the same amount of money as they did before. Although the issue was later resolved, to think that your way of living could disappear at the sight of a glitch makes people fearful for the future. This is why the NFT market felt appealing to Michael Cusack and Zach Hadel. No need to worry about making prints or physical merch if you can just sell a JPEG to someone willing to support them. But when it comes to supporting creators, I often feel as if making something more personalized has its benefits, such as this MP4 of Let's Player and Hansen saying that he loves my channel.
Oh, hey, Daft Pina. Now that's a pretty cool guy. Love his videos, man. Keep up the good work, come on.
Or even the signature of Richard Horvitz, who plays Moxie from Hell of a Boss. Although one is digital and the other is physical, both have more personalized and sentimental value, that to me makes it worth more than a standard NFT. As NFTs in and of themselves are never meant to be personalized, as at their core they only exist to be bought and resold. Which is why the comparison at the beginning of the video to art galleries was necessary. Sure, anyone can make a piece within the medium, but not everyone's will get bought, and some people don't really feel the need to buy something not attuned to them. NFTs are a new avenue for artists to get money, but you can really say that for like any auction, I guess. But at the very least, with traditional auctions, you actually own the piece, but that's neither here or there. But now that we talked about the goods and the major bads, it's time to get spicy. As with every hot new platform, concept, and idea, it's often more interesting to see the ways people justify their doing so, and the spectacle of failure falling upon two creators that we'll focus on in the next section. This is the grim adventures of the annoying orange and Yo Mama. Every day another person decides to make an NFT, often causing major backlash towards that person. However, prior to April 2021, many were able to make NFTs with virtually no pushback, such as the example of Michael Cusack and Zach Hadel. As without enough proper research or investigations about the effects, people just thought, hey, fine, I guess. That or the audiences didn't know and didn't care, however that's a separate issue. And so to learn a bit more about this, I spoke with Meat Canyon, as he did some NFTs back in March when the trend started to roll out. Knowing what you know now, would you still have made NFTs?
No, I think that I wouldn't do it. I think that at the time it was just a great way to help, fund future projects and also to, be a part of a new, emerging art scene. But obviously just not knowing what the cost was. But yeah, no, I probably wouldn't have done it now.
This is the note that not everyone who makes NFTs really wants to make them. I know that's a weird sentence, but follow me here. For example, Universal made NFTs of the Scott Pilgrim film to celebrate the 10-year anniversary. I made a tweet poking fun at it, and because of the overall negative reception, they deleted their tweets. However, the creator behind the movie and comic, Brian Lee O'Malley, stated that they were never a part of it, advising them against it. So when we see industry artists making NFTs, is it really them, or is it just the labels? And the two biggest cases in recent times are Tenacious D and Gorillaz, both of whom being noteworthy because of the environmental messages in their songs. So I suppose it's up to the viewer if they're really a part of it? But while most bands and celebrities stayed silent after making their NFTs, apart from Justin Roiland complaining about people bringing up the environmental concerns, but none gave as much a spectacle to public than the Annoying Orange and Yo Mama combined. Isn't like celebrities who have like PR managers, they decided to handle things themselves. Starting with the latter, Yo Mama is an animated web series starring Brody Fox narrating to the viewer one's jokes involving one's mother. And the Twitter account Brody Fox is run by the creator of the show, Zach James, and so on April 11th, 12th of 2021, Zach tweeted about upcoming not safe for work NFTs of his original characters. What followed was a major slew of negative comments towards him. In order to contain the situation, Zach proceeded to rapid-fire comments to any Twitter user. And knowing how Twitter works, it can be speculated that if not for all these replies that Zach made, people probably would have forgotten about this. As if there's not a new idea to attack, there's only so much you can do with one tweet. Regardless, arguing with a mob is never a good thing. As with my long years on the platform, I learned about the Twitter dogpile. So if you're caught in a situation like this, that being making a tweet that everyone dislikes, be on the lookout for these people. First off, we have those misinformed on the person or even the subject of conversation, those who hate you using the situation as a way to degrade you for past actions, those who don't care about the issue and just state an overall opinion from the mob to garner likes, such as, I wouldn't do the thing that that person said in the tweet, those who just want to make jokes, and lastly those who actually do care that the Twitter user they follow is doing a bad thing. And you can see all these people within the Yo Mama replies. However, in noting the different types of people, trying to distinguish them is actually difficult and often not worth it. Trying to explain yourself to the void would just get more people angry, and there's a chance that the people who you want to see those tweets, well, maybe never see them. As in most cases, those on the list don't actually care if you do any better, and just want to see you fail for one reason or another. And so to give some courtesy to Zach, I tried to look into his arguments, and there were a few. The most important aspect of all this was the fact that Zach was making NFTs for his company rather than himself. As with Meat Canyon, they both have a team of animators they want to pay well. And I made a whole video about proper payments with pencilmations, so making sure your employees can make a living is a must? Yeah. Secondly, Zach argues that many creators use cryptocurrency as well, such as Mr. Beast, which I'm very glad we talked about the similarities and differences between NFTs and cryptocurrencies, as trying to explain that to people on Twitter is hard. And I specifically note that, as a Twitter user said that the difference between Dogecoin and NFTs is one destroys the environment and the other is a JPEG. But as we talked about before, they both hurt the environment. But going back to the argument that other creators use crypto, yeah, he's right. As Mr. Beast is known as a YouTuber with a generous nature, you'd really have to think about where he gets all that money. Zach arguing with people that if you're mad at him for making NFTs, you should be mad at Mr. Beast for using cryptocurrency. When you bring up other people doing the exact thing you're doing, like, hey look, that other person's doing it too. To most people it feels like you're trying to distract the person, even though you're also doing the same thing too.
Listen, I'm not the only person who's stabbing people around here.
Wait, why are you stabbing people? Thirdly, he argues against people recommending to do merchandise instead of NFTs. As with the many people's concerns being carbon emissions, Zach talks about the fact that t-shirts use factories that also mainly use fossil fuels. Of course, this is noting that some YouTubers rather buy large stocks than use print on demand. And not only do you have to print the merchandise, you also have to place to store it, which also uses electricity. However, that's before a guaranteed sale. But this is remembering, of course, that when someone makes a t-shirt rather than an NFT, usually it's a singular process, such as making limited edition stock or just ordering a big old pallet. An NFT is continuously sold multiple times over and still in the blockchain. Oh, cool fact now that you're this far in the video. The t-shirt you see me wearing in my new videos is made by Torty. I like the design, so I started to wear it, but you can't get any new ones because, hey, limited edition. And so at the end of the Twitter fight, Zach then addressed some of the issues, such as the environmental impacts, and says that he's exploring options with his advisors. After watching what happened, I want to speak with him directly in a call. Luckily, I was able to. As when you're dogpiled, even if the evidence you're shown is true, it Getting attacked on something personal like this kind of backfires, leading the person you're trying to help convince just keeps reinforcing their beliefs. This is called the backfire effect. I had an hour-long call with Zach about some of the concerns I had while listening to his. At the end of the day, he wanted to properly pay artists, and he thought this would have been a good way to do so. So basically we just talked options about what he could do, sent some articles, went from there. However, if he stays till the end of the video, he'll know some fun ways to make some moolah without doing NFTs, so be sure to stay for that. But Yo Mama is not the titular event of tonight's show, as at least Zach addressed the concerns with the public. No, the main course showcasing the sins of an artist is that of the annoying orange. Backlash so great, he got on trending for how poorly he tried to advertise his NFT. Looking back on how it all started, there were some clear red flags, as Damebo contacted the person behind the Bad Luck Brian meme, excited for the prospect of NFTs. 5 days later, Damebo used the Annoying Orange's Twitter account to promote the sale of an NFT on April 11, 2021. Instead of Not Safe for Work, which would just be scary for his character, Dane chose to make what he calls an exclusive 4K remaster of his original video. This might encourage some people to buy it, as the original was exported in 720p and even fixed some of the issues, such as color and compositing within the remaster. But problems soon arose when he just kept tweeting. Dane tried to combat the environmental issues of NFTs using the misleading article that we already debunked. We're in for a wild ride is a completely understatement for the situation. Continuing on the tweet thread he made, he states that this isn't for himself, rather for his studio. However, his insistence to stay in character of the Annoying Orange just makes it all sound awful.
To those that might be angry because you think I've sold out, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Saying that as he attaches a gif of the titular Annoying Orange to the tweet. Using the same talking points as Dogecoin, he claims it's a great way for new artists to make money, with his sentences sounding like a broken record for justification, as he had to reason with himself after making the NFT. But remembering the main appeal to NFTs is the rarity and scarcity of owning a piece, you really start to think how there can only be one copy if anyone can right-click Save As. However, there is an argument about digital quality. The file size and bit depth of, say, one of my memes you can view on Twitter when you follow me is not the same quality as the actual export because of the compression of Twitter. But here comes the funny part. Twitter user @YourCompanionAI found a security loophole in Foundation.app, the website hosting Dane's NFT, and anyone that knows how to use inspect elements in a web browser was able to access the actual original file. No clipping for the advertisement, no compression to save bandwidth, the actual file Dane exported for the auction. Because of how terrible Dane acted towards people, tweeting and spreading this info made it funny, as this time we could annoy the orange. This one-of-a-kind NFT selling for thousands of dollars and not to be shared anywhere else was in fact shared to everyone for free. I even made a tweet promoting the security flaw, as this isn't even hacking, this is stupidity. One can argue this is similar to someone ripping content from Patreon, but for that case you're supporting an artist with them finding a way to compensate the supporter. But for the NFT it's like one fan gets it. Re-uploads started to crop up on YouTube, thus decreasing the value of the NFT if there was any to begin with. As that went on, Dane started to copyright claim people out of desperation, fearing maybe this was a really dumb idea. But it was too late, as it became so popular to make fun of his pompous actions, he got on Twitter trending, and on April 15th, the day he was supposed to find a buyer, he found nothing except failure, later taken down the auction. The Annoying Orange 4K NFT saga ended on April 26th, as Damebo quietly uploaded his NFT to YouTube, deleting the tweets about his boastful stupidity, and never mentioning this again, forever putting a stain on his legacy as the guy who tried to sell an MP4 of a screaming orange. While both Zach and Dane handled the promotion of NFTs terribly, at the end they really just wanted to support the studios and probably pay their animators. But that's where the comparisons end, as Dane addressed nothing and tried to justify his actions without understanding the technology behind it. And while Zach did have an understanding of the technology, well, behind it, the further environmental impacts weren't as known, but the fact that he actually took the time to properly address things to the community says a lot more about his character than, say, for Dane. But this isn't the bottom of the barrel when it comes to NFTs. as although I told you 2 stories of creators' failure, what I'm about to tell you will make your heart sink further than a knife in an apple's back.
Huh?
NFTs and cryptocurrencies are not going away anytime soon, but the public's understanding of the impacts become more apparent each day, much like me being trapped in the NFT void? How'd I get here? If the news headline of Beeple didn't catch people's attention, then surely celebrities participating in the trend will shove it down people's throats. And there's a saying that a meme dies when it appears on Ellen. Well, she made some NFTs too. The talk show host claims that proceeds will be donated to charity, but about that, NFTs have a 10% royalty fee, meaning that whenever it's resold, the original owner gets some money back. Does that mean they'll also give that money to charity? What about all the other times it gets sold? And this is not speculation, as I was able to confirm that Bitsky, the NFT seller that Ellen went with, does in fact have a 10% royalty fee. No matter what, it being added to the blockchain just adds more harm overall than whatever money donated to charity could even outweigh. Why didn't she just auction the drawing?
Wait, Daff, so celebrities are predictably finding a way to turn a quick profit out of this, but why'd you call this section Bones for Cash?
Well, dear viewer, whenever a celebrity passes away, their souls never rest, be it in remembrance of paraphernalia, documentaries, and anything in between. However, this is often handled by the estate, as celebrities want to make sure their family is taken care of. But one can argue that making them into NFTs is completely different. Chadwick Boseman, actor in 42, Black Panther, and lastly, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, passed away in 2020 due to stage 3 colon cancer. And in order to honor his legacy as an actor and philanthropist, Eden Joshua decided to sell his head digitally during the Oscars in 2021. One can argue that statues of famous people are made and sold, but that implies hard work. It was later found out that he never made the original model, and it was even later found out he bought it from someone who stole it from someone else. And so all of this was done to raise money for charity, but further remembering that the artist will get 10% royalty. And so like a baseball card of Babe Ruth, Chadwick's head would be passed around and sold to the highest bidder. Which, like the case of Ellen, why didn't they just have a fundraiser? Maybe they just won something for their gift bags. Kurt Cobain, who is another deceased artist known for Nirvana, has had pieces of him sold throughout his years. His diary, his shoes, and even his suicide note. The artist has theoretically never stopped being a cash cow. And this is more prevalent as in April 2021, his last photo session will now be sold as an NFT. Hopefully whoever buys it just, I don't know, releases it to the public. As hoarding pieces of media not available anywhere else just makes you a dick. Kinda like how Martin Shkreli won the auction to the one and only Wu-Tang Clan album, and to this day we never got to listen to it. Oh wait, never mind. I can just go to the website and download the images, use AI upscale, and yeah, saved a bunch of money. But at the very least, no one's like going around destroying art, right? I would have said that until this next story appeared on my Twitter timeline. An original piece by the New York artist Pasquale was said to be destroyed to increase the value of the digital version, aka the NFT. One could argue that at the very least the artist would get some money, and probably agreed to it. But the artist passed away back in 1988, and I guarantee he had no way of understanding or even knowing about cryptocurrency then. Luckily, the auction was later taken down due to his estate stating that the seller didn't have the rights to the artist's work. You know, that kind of reminds me of those Twitter bots that just makes NFTs of random people's art. Did anyone stop them? Perhaps it's not the environmental impacts of NFTs that will cause disdain for the medium, rather just the social distaste in using them. Be it dead memes trying to sell their famous photos, celebrities trying to get some more money, or just people slapping 3D assets together like Twitter user E. Turkenveya. They're a little known artist that created an NFT of Elon Musk, just up as David Bowie, one half of the combination being deceased, and the full thing probably didn't have their permission. If the social faux pas isn't enough to deter you, what if I mentioned the Ethereum blockchain is actually pretty slow? With a large number of people added every day trading Ethereum, as well as the boom of NFTs, the servers have slowed down quite a bit. As noted in a Tech Pro article, some transactions can take up to a few hours just to process. and the cost per transaction could be around or more than 40 USD. So on top of minting the NFT, you have to pay money to sell it. Amazing. But remembering this is at the chance someone wants to buy your digital piece, if you haven't already gotten socially isolated from your friend group for making an NFT. There are NFT sellers that don't use the Ethereum blockchain and are actually pretty environmentally friendly. However, good luck constantly explaining to people you're not hurting the environment, because at this point, the general art community kinda gave up on NFTs, as not only is it the crowd for those looking out for the environment, but also those wanting to upgrade electronics. There's a major chip shortage, partially due to COVID-19, but also the aforementioned crypto farms buying up all the CPUs and GPUs, so yeah, not good. Going back to NFTs, I do like the idea at the core, just not the execution. Whether it be the environmental damage, the poor encryption on auction websites, or even the security of owning a piece. For example, it took many years for Valve's gaming service Steam to prove to people that buying digitally is fine. And much like NFTs, you have to use a very specific service to prove that you own it. But for NFTs, it's arguably worse. Valve isn't selling finite games, as the game itself is just code that anyone can buy, and it's the exact same code. While NFTs are supposed to be limited, but the only thing that makes it limited is a string of code that not many people really care about. Such as with the case of Annoying Orange, there is just one NFT. However, I, like thousands of other people, have the exact same MP4 in its pure form. In online consumption, there isn't an original, which is why file sharing became normal. So if trying to sell digital goods as unique is kind of fruitless, what could I recommend? Well, a few things actually. In fungible ways, supporting an artist on Patreon is pretty snazzy. While anyone could leak the Patreon stuff, is the advent of supporting the artist and being a part of something. A YouTuber I support on Patreon is DankPods, whom is a person who gives extra content only for $1. Some other people do voice calls, and even polls for new videos. So giving it a more personal touch is something people like a lot. Another website to use is Gumroad, which is a website where artists put works that people can pay for. Instead of paying the artist per month for a variety of things, you just pay for one singular thing. For example, we have Pan Pizza's webcomic and Jen Mortson's storyboarding tips. While you could read his comic for free, assuming someone ripped it, that's considered a dick move when Pan made it easy for someone to help him out. And the latter being a great educational way to improve animations, so I'd recommend either or for whatever you're looking for. For non-fungible ways, you could do digital commissions and auctions, and although commissions are JPEGs, GIFs, or even MP4 cameos, the added benefits of being something specific to the consumer makes it more enticing. It's technically more non-fungible than an NFT, as often the commissioner is the only one to have it, unless stated otherwise, such as the artist advertising it to sell more commissions. These personal signatures and commissions are often sought out by fans, especially when the artist is mainly reclusive. This is why the commissions or personalized voice message tiers on Kickstarter are snatched up so quickly because, hey, it's pretty cool they're doing a thing just for you, specifically. Lastly, taking inspiration from Beeple, you can have auctions much like NFTs, but on eBay.
You can't just sell a JPEG on eBay and expect people to pay a lot of money.
I mean, it worked for PS5 scams, but as a legitimate way, I do have something creative. People felt that in order to make owning the 5,000 pieces of the digital art more worth it to Vignesh, was to make a digital frame. So imagine a scenario like this. Vivian Madrano isn't able to get Hasman Hotel picked up due to contract negotiations, so in order to fund the project herself, she makes a Kickstarter, as well as 10 or 20 unique pieces of artwork housed in these digital frames. Sold on eBay, whoever wins the auction gets a nice personalized signature on the photo frame, with the option to upload the JPEG on their PC, as a lot of the photo frames just have like an SD card in them, so easy file transfer. One might say, couldn't the owner of these just give away the art online for free, thus decreasing the value of their overall piece? Sure, but the owner still has the frame and the signature on the frame.
This you can't get on Instagram. This is like, you know, a physical thing that you can, if you're buying the NFT, you get this. So it really kind of instantly sort of like changes it.
Which is possibly the best certificate you can have for digital piece. That or like a authorized PDF signed by you and the artist. Have people done that before? Probably. With either choice, you don't have to worry about Ethereum glitching or hoping it stays at its current value. remembering how Bitcoin crashed due to a power outage in China, and because of the outage, it dropped below $50,000? Kinda scary how easy that was, huh? Just imagine someone going to a power plant and just... Or like how Dogecoin fell in price because Elon Musk went on Saturday Night Live.
And it was sus for a while.
Remembering what makes an art piece worth something, I think we left something out when it comes to making it worth something. Was it made for you? And in saying that, I think these options do a better job than NFTs ever could in their current state, especially when you combine the digital and the physical to make something more meaningful to those who bought it. I mean, you do realize that NFTs at their core were just made by rich people to exchange money, and the environmental impacts aren't gonna be much of a concern to them unless like a big old government steps in. And in comparing this to fine art, do you think you have the same chances to sell in the market as this $1 million pixel art? Or this YouTuber's sack? Huh? Get real. At this point, all I think of when I see NFTs was this tweet I saw once.
NFT artists really say, yeah, the NFT is worth at least 3K, and the NFT looks like this.
Oh, I made it back from the NFT zone. In their current form, NFTs soak up a lot of energy and don't really serve a purpose to non-rich people or those without big followings attached to their names. And the non-fungible part of an NFT is really just the receipt that only really exists if you go to a specific place that not many people care about. And if all the negatives associated with it, be it the environmental impact, the lack of sustainability, and even the social ire for even making them, there really is little benefit to using the medium as an artist that can't be supplemented in the ways I talked about before. While some NFTs have proven to help some artists fund their projects, most oftentimes they're just used for personal gain at the expense for the earth, and I really hope that chicken nugget was worth it. Goodbye, ozone layer. At the end of the day, NFTs are just another way for rich people to convince poor people to invest in the cryptocurrency, which is how it all started. A crypto investor purchasing art at a funny number price to entice people to invest, so he can make more money. And while this is the end of the video, which one of your friends would be the next to make an NFT? And how will they react when people negatively respond? Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see on Twitter, unless you just decide to show them this video or, I don't know, talk with them. But even after all I've shown you regarding cryptocurrency and NFTs, at the very least, please don't spend your life savings, as although there are success stories, there are many disasters. If you want to see more of these videos, please like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter for some good memes. Help support me on Patreon, like these lovely people you can see on screen. They're very cool. And special thank you to Toonerific Tariq, Concurio, and Oliver's Peace for reading lines in the video, as well as Meat Canyon and Ellis Mark for speaking in it. But until next time, I've been Daft Pina, and please, don't forget to have fun.